Hello everyone, we're on our next lesson. We're on 13.3 right now. So far in chapter 13 we've talked about different ways that we can display data using charts and graphs and stuff like that. And the box plot is another such graphical representation of data. We've had histograms, we've had stem plots, and now we're on to box plots. The 5-number summary is 5 numbers that describes the data, and then the box plot is a picture of the 5-number summary. So they're very similar. This is a picture of the 5-number summary. So here are the 5 numbers. It's the minimum, the maximum, and the 3 quartiles. So that is the 5-number summary. Again, the minimum is the smallest number. So whatever the lowest data entry is, that's the minimum. The maximum then is the highest number, of course. And then we get the median, the number that's in the middle. And then the middle of the lower half is Q1, or the first quartile, or the 25th percentile. And the median of the upper half is the upper quartile, or the 75th percentile, or we call that Q3 sometimes. So those are the 5 numbers, and that's a good representation of data. If you bring some data to a group or something like that, and they might ask for the 5-number summary because they want to get a picture of what it looks like. What's the highest, what's the lowest, what's the middle, and then what's Q1 and Q3. That's our 5-number summary. And then we put a picture of that by using the box plot. So the box plot is a graph of the 5-number summary. One thing is that it's not quite as detailed as histograms or stem plots. With stem plots, certainly you can see every individual data point. Histograms, it's more detailed. The box plot, you just get a picture of 5 numbers. You could have 1,000 data entries, and the box plot only shows 5 of them. Just the max, min, and the 3 quartiles, Q1, Q2, Q3. One thing that's nice about the box plot, though, is it's useful when you're comparing more than one distribution. You can put 4 or 5 different box plots all on one page and compare them very easily. So that's one thing that's nice about a box plot. Okay, so here's Peyton Manning's information for his throwing touchdowns that he had during his career, and we're going to do the 5-number summary and make a box plot for it. So the first thing we should do is we should put all of his touchdowns seasons in order from lowest to highest. So he had one year where he had 0 touchdowns. He had a neck injury that year for the Colts. I remember that. And then he had 3 26s. 26, 26, 26. So that takes care of these. And the next lowest, he had 2 27s. 27, 27. Again, if you're doing this on a test, you want to be very, very careful that you get every single data entry because you'll be thrown off if you miss one. 28, 29, 28, 29, couple 31s, and then 1, 2, 3 33s, 33, 33, 33. And then we have a 37, 49, 55. 37, 49, 55. Okay, that should be all of them. So what I always do first, it's the easiest ones, is the minimum and the maximum. The minimum, he had 0 touchdowns one season. The maximum, he had 55 touchdowns his maximum season. So there's the min and the max. Now I do Q2 next because that's the middle of all the data. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 data entries. So the median, Q2, is going to be the 8th and 9th data entry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So right here is the very middle of the data. So I'm just going to put an arrow to it. This is Q2. So it's 29 plus 31 divided by 2. So obviously that would be 30. His median, his Q2 year, had 30 touchdowns. So there's Q2. Now Q1 is the median of the upper half. So right here is where Q2 is. So now we're just going to cross off a couple here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And this right here is Q1. So the average of those two, which would be 26.5. And then we'll do the exact same thing for Q3. So Q3, we'll cross off 1, 2, 3 there, 1, 2, 3 here. So it's the average of these two, which would just be 33. So there is the 5-number summary. Min, max, Q1, Q2, Q3. We did that with stem plots. Now we're going to do that with box plots. And now we're going to draw a picture of the 5-number summary using the box plot. So here's how it works. Every graph that you make in my class, make sure that you have a title. So that's the first thing we're going to write. We'll title this Peyton Manning's Touchdown. Peyton Manning's Touchdowns. Okay, there's our title. Now after we have our title, the next thing that we're going to need is we're going to need a number line. So we can have a reference to what each of our data entries mean. So our lowest is 0, our highest is 55. So what you do to make a number line, very similar to what you saw in elementary school, I suppose. This is going to represent 0. This will be, let's say, 60, so we can go a little bit above our data entries, and then we'll just maybe count off by 5s. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Rats, I should make this go a little bit longer. And then 55, 60. So there's 0 up to 60. And it might be nice to your reader if you kind of label it as you go. So maybe you could have every 10, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Now that I get off, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Sorry about that. So there is our number line. Okay, and now here's how we make the box plot. We're going to start with a vertical line at the minimum. So the minimum is 0. So here's 0, and that is the minimum. And then what we do is we draw a horizontal line to Q1, which is 26.5. So here is 25, 26.5 is about right there. We call this Q1. And now what we do is we draw a box till Q3. So Q3 is 33. So I'm going to make a box from 30 to 33, which is roughly right about there. So here's Q1, here's Q3, right there at 33. And then we're going to draw the median, Q2, at 30. So we're going to draw a vertical line at 30. And this is Q2. This one's Q1. And then we're going to draw another horizontal line all the way to the max, which is at 55. So here we go till 55, right there. Okay, that is a picture of the box plot. So as you can see, each vertical dash here represents a number of the 5-number summary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers for the 5-number summary. It's called a box plot because Q1, Q2, Q3 do indeed make a box. So what the box plot does is it separates the data into 4 categories. So here is 1/4 of Peyton Manning's touchdown seasons. Here is 1/4 of the data. Here is 1/4, and here is 1/4. Okay? So that is what I expect to see when you make a box plot. You'll have much more practice on this in the future. So draw a symmetrical box plot. What we just drew, everybody, is a pretty symmetrical box plot. The median is about right in the middle. Both tails are about even length, so this would be a pretty symmetrical box plot. We'll just draw one that looks like this as an example. Our box will be basically right in the middle of our data, and the median is going to be right in the middle of the box, and then we're going to have about the same width to each tail. So from the minimum to Q1 and from the maximum to Q3 is about the same. That would be a symmetrical box plot. If we wanted to draw a skewed left box plot, that means most of the data is on the right. You know, our histogram, don't draw this, but our histogram had most of the data here on the right side, and it kind of tails off to the left. That would be a picture of a histogram that is skewed left. So a box plot that is skewed left has a majority of data over here on the right. So our Q1 and our Q2 or Q3 is going to be mostly over here, and we're probably going to have not too much up until the max, and then it's really going to skew to the left. So it's going to look something like this. That would be a good picture of a skewed left box plot. Skewed right would then be the exact opposite. Most of the data would be on the left side, so our minimum and our Q1, Q2, Q3 would be very much to the left, and then it would skew to the right. So that would be a good picture of a skewed right box plot. Last one we'll draw is one that has outliers. So one that has outliers, and you'll find this as we do this on our calculator in the future. We'll say that the outliers are far greater than the data, so they're going to be way over here. So we're going to have our minimum, and here's going to be our Q1, Q2, Q3, something like that. And then what our calculator does is, instead of this being our maximum, this is not a maximum. This is just another data entry. And then what our calculator will do is it'll put the outliers in a box, or it'll have a square showing up on our calculator about where the outliers are. And I'll talk more about that as we do that in our calculator, but for now just know that when it has outliers, it'll be noted by having some squares where the outliers are. So that'd be a good picture of one that has an outlier. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to find the 5-number summary in our calculator, and I'll explain how to do all this. You don't have to read all this, just follow along with me in your calculator. Please take out your calculators then, and let's find Peyton Manning's 5-number summary using our calculator. So if you take out your calculator, if you press Stat, and the default right now is on number 1, it says Edit right here, and we're going to edit our list. So it's already right there, so basically just press Stat, and then press Enter. Now I've already entered in the data. You could see 26, 26, 33, 26, all that good stuff into list 1. If there's something in your list, like let's say I put in 63, 62, enter, 78, enter, 52, enter, 53, enter. That's how you enter data into your lists, list 1, list 2, list 3. If there's data in there and you don't want to see it, just highlight list 2. If I want to clear these numbers that I just put in, if I highlight it and then press clear and then press down, boom, it disappears. So if you have data in list 1, just highlight list 1 and then press clear and then press down, and all of it will disappear. And then you're going to put in 26, enter, 26, enter, 33, enter, so on and so forth. You guys, please pause the video and enter in all that data, and then start the video again once you've entered it. Okay, once you've entered the data, now that it's in there, you're going to press Stat again. This time, instead of editing your lists, you're going to press the Over button over to the right one, and it's going to be the Calculate menu. The CLAC means Calculate. And you're going to keep it right here on number 1 variable stats. That's what we want. So you're going to press Enter. And right now it'll say, do you want to calculate the statistics for list 1, list 2, list 3? It defaults to list 1. If you enter this data into list 2 or list 3, then you would change that. I'll tell you how to do that when you get to class. But here we're just going to keep it as list 1, and then we're going to go down to Calculate, and we press Enter. Now if you scroll all the way to the bottom, look at what we have here, class. We have minimum, we have Q1, we have median, we have Q3, and we have our maximum. And we found this by hand earlier, and they are the exact same numbers when we found by doing our calculator as well. So obviously our calculator is much faster, much easier. We can use our calculator most of the times, but I do need to see you on the test do it by hand as well, so it's valuable to know both methods. Okay, so that is how you do it using your graphing calculator. I don't believe we have anything else. We've already done this on our graphing calculator. So tomorrow we'll have worksheet 13.3, and then those 3 objectives as well. Let me know if you have any questions on the box plot when you get to class tomorrow.